Good morning, my loves. Happy Thursday. Beautiful day here at the lake. I'll give you a quick view. The high today, believe it or not, is like 86. That's crazy. That is a winter temperature for us. I have never seen this. I've been here 6 years. I have never seen the end of May being 86 degrees. Not going to question it, just going to enjoy it. Go with the flow. So, over the weekend, someone reached out to me, somebody that I know, kind of a colleague, business colleague. They said they needed some mom advice. I said, okay, sweetheart, what's going on? Now, this person is around my son's age. They're in their, I would say, mid-40s. Lovely person, just really, really nice, well-spoken, educated, just a really fine person, my opinion. And they said that in their group of friends, they have, the nuclear group, and then you have the peripheral group. There's somebody that everybody's wanting him to ask out. Okay, happens all the time. What's so different about this? He said she's really pretty, she's really nice, she's educated, she's great, except she dates married men. That is a deal breaker for him. He said it's not going to happen. He said he's talked to her a few times, and once she even asked him, so when are you going to ask me out? And he just smiled because he's not going to ask her out. I said, okay, let me hear your thought process on all of this. Why? You said she's attractive, she's articulate, she's educated, she's a professional. I'm not knocking your reasons. I am with you 1,000% on this, but let me hear your thoughts. He said, so if she's dating married men, now this is what he said, she does not respect herself. I agree with that. She does not respect the guy that she's dating because she's willing to date somebody that's in a relationship. I would agree with that. And she obviously does not respect his marriage or their marriage, because there's several guys that are married. I would agree with that. He said, so what do I do? Everybody's wanting me to ask her out. She's wanting me to ask her out. I said, what I would do if I were you, and I'm not you, just tossing this out there, I would take her to coffee, meet for brunch, meet for coffee, something very, very casual. Meet at the restaurant. Make it very clear this is not a date. We are going to talk. And be honest with her and tell her, I really like you. I think you're a hoot, but I have a big problem. And that is that you date, or prefer to date, however you want to put it, married men. And I can't go along with that. And tell her why. Tell her why. You're not being judgmental. It's just against your morals. It's, to me, for Brenda, it's very important to always stand behind your morals, values, and ethics, because that's who you are. Never prostitute your integrity for anyone, anywhere, anytime, any amount of money. No. And that's what this young man would be doing, because he doesn't believe in that. Talk to her and tell her, I would love to, but you date married men and guys that are in committed relationships for whatever reason. No, because that just shows such blatant disrespect of yourself and of other people. And that's a very true statement. And I said, go with that, absolutely. But add, to clarify, that you have a concern that if you were in a relationship with her, it'd be the same thing all over. That she's not going to respect you. She's not going to respect your relationship. And she's just going to continue that pattern of behavior. But explain that to her. You're not trying to change her. You are respecting her beliefs, who she is, but you were just explaining the situation. It's that simple. But that would end everybody pushing you two together. Let me know how it goes. Well, last night, he called and told me they met for lunch and they had the discussion, and she never realized that it went beyond her. And he just told her, I think the world of you, but this isn't going to happen because it's just, and he is not a religious fanatic or anything. He just has morals. Very simple. Hers are a bit skewed. And he just told her no. That never dawned on her. She honestly told him she thought guys found that attractive. Wow. So they are not going out. She has no plans to change her behavior because for her, he found out, is very financially prudent for her to remain a side piece. And he said he wants no part of that. None. I said, well, okay, it's a life lesson for both of you. Learn the life lesson. Don't repeat it. Just learn it. Accept people for who they are, as they are, and keep going. But when this happens in your life, when you meet somebody you really like and you really want to date them, but there are things about them that are just big red flags, be kind enough. If they say, why don't you ask me out? Be kind enough to be honest with them, polite, diplomatic, but tell them, I just can't be involved with someone that is XYZ or does XYZ or whatever. Just tell them, be honest, but stand tall and proud in your truth and your morals, your values, your integrity, because that's who you are. And someday you will meet the person that is a good match for you. But until then, stand tall and proud in who you are. Okay? That's really important. I do that every day. I am asked out a lot, and it's not going to happen. Guys ask me out over the internet, social media stuff. There is no way on God's green earth I'm going to go out with anybody, not even for coffee, that that reaches out to me on the internet. No, that is a huge freaking red flag. No way on God's green earth is that ever going to happen. I do not date guys, younger than me. Well, okay, I would say, hell am I? I'm 67. I would go out with somebody maybe in their late 50s, over 55, but not younger. Because that is just, to me, creepy. Because my son's 47. That is just creepy. And I know right now it's very fashionable for women my age to date guys in their 20s and 30s. No, not for me. No. We would have absolutely nothing in common. We wouldn't have movies in common, books, literature. We couldn't talk about college days and things like that. For me, no. It's just ridiculous. Not ever going to happen. But that doesn't mean I won't be nice and kind and polite to people. It's just there's no way on God's green earth that's ever going to happen. I have a huge list of what I consider red flags of the don'ts. And I would hope to God everybody has that list. You should. And stand by it. What do I want to say? Don't cave just because you're lonely, Eons ago, and I do mean eons ago, we're talking back in the 1980s. I worked in surgical intensive care in a hospital, and I worked nights 7P to 7A. And you get really close to all the doctors and the residents and the nurses, and it's just like one big family. And there's one resident that really wanted to go out with me. And we all went down to grab breakfast. It was like 3 a.m. We go downstairs to the cafeteria to get breakfast. And he comes up and he says, oh, let me pick up your tab. It was like $4. I said, okay, what's up? He said, let's go out. And I said, where are you taking me? And we had this really nice conversation. He said, well, there's just one little caveat. I said, oh, here we go. What's the caveat? He said, I don't date redheads. I need you to dye your hair. I said, well, that's really amazing. I have a caveat. He said, what? And I said, I don't date assholes. And that's what you're being. No, I am me. I have had red hair my entire life. I'm not changing it now just to please you. Not going to happen. You're a hoot. I love working with you. You are a super nice guy, but you have to accept me for me, just like I have to accept you for being the asshole that you are. He laughed. We remained friends. And he would, come on the floor, in the SICU for a patient, and he'd come up behind me and say, you haven't dyed your hair yet. And I said, you're still an asshole. And we just made a joke about it, and that was it. He wasn't going to change. I'm not going to change. Accept people for who they are, as they are. Not for what you want them to become, who you wish they were, what in your mind you have that worked out that they could be. People are who they are. Accept them at that, at face value. That's it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But you have to be honest with yourself, and always, always be honest with them. Okay? And I'm sure this guy will find a lovely person that matches his morals, values, and ethics. I hope he does. Lovely person. I'm sure he will. Whatever this girl's going to do, Lord only knows. It's on her. I do hope. I just have to put this out there for anybody that is a side piece. You know you're worthy of being more than an option, right? And you know, in all likelihood, he's not going to leave, he, she, whatever. They're not going to leave their spouse, their partner, for you. They're lying to you. They probably have kids you don't know about. They're not going to leave them for you because you're a convenience. You're a side piece. You scratch that wild itch that hits every once in a while. That's it. And even if they did leave that person to be with you, you know by pattern and practice, they cheat. They will cheat on you. This won't be the only time that they've cheated on a spouse. Pattern and practice. And I want you to realize you're worth more than that. You are worth more than being an option. And I talked to a girl, this is years ago, and she said she liked being a side piece because it gave her a sense of superiority. How? She said, well, yeah, he's married to that, but he has me on the side. And what has he told you? Oh, that the marriage isn't working out, it's horrible, and, you know, they're going to be filing for divorce, he's going to be leaving her. Are there kids? No. Are you sure there's not kids? Well, he has a niece and nephew. Of course he does. That probably have his same last name and live in his home and that are actually his kids. Honey, just open your eyes. Just please accept it for what it is. If you are a side piece, you're doing that by choice. Maybe they're picking up your bills. Maybe they're taking you on great vacations. Don't know, don't care. But just look at the situation with clarity and accept your role in that. And if that's who you want to be, God bless. That's between you and your conscience, you know. But just know that in all likelihood, they're not going to leave the spouse for you. And if they do, they did it before. They're going to do it again. Pattern and practice. But always, always stand in your truth. Stand behind your morals, values, ethics, and integrity.